Uh, the Japan Times, Children's Rights, Judicial Wrongs, last in a two-part series. So this is quite interesting because we know that there's another article we can find if we want to. So it's the last part in a two-part series. So if we're really interested in this topic, we can go back and read the other one. Parents, lawyers, and activists alike understandably frame the problems of parental child abduction and parental alienation in Japan in terms of children's rights. While it would be easy to conclude from what I wrote in last week's column that Japanese courts simply do not care about them, this would probably be a mistake. So this is interesting. Do you know much about parental child abduction? Do you know what that means?
So, mother and father's child?
Yeah.
Abduction?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay, so abduction means when you kidnap someone, when you take a baby or take a person away.
Yeah.
It's a crime. But parental abduction is when one of the parents steals the child.
Yes.
So if there's a mother and father and they get divorced or separated, and the father takes the baby away or the mother takes the baby away, that would be parental abduction. So in this article, it's saying that it would be easy to conclude that Japanese courts simply do not care about them, do not care about children's rights. But this would probably be a mistake. So this introduction is a kind of common introduction, so it's telling what people think. People think Japanese courts don't care about children's rights, but now she's explaining that it might be a mistake. They do care. So it's a complicated article. But one simple discussion question you could ask is, what do you know about child's rights in Japan? What do you know about parental abduction in Japan? Do you know what parental abduction is? So you Daichi, didn't know. Many people don't know. So maybe the other students in the class also don't know. So if we're giving a discussion question, that would be a good discussion question. Do you know what parental abduction means? Yeah. So.
Can I take a minute?
You can, of course, take a you can take a note. And while you're taking a note, I'll continue to read. So, on the contrary, family courts and their specially trained investigative personnel are held out as experts on children, their welfare and rights. In my view, the problem is that children's rights probably have the same character as many other personal rights in Japan. Rather than being rights that bind and can be asserted against the government, they are benefices bestowed on the people by well-meaning judges and other bureaucrats. Rights that on paper seem similar to those enjoyed by people in other countries, but may undergo subtle processes, a subtle process whereby they are converted from rules government agencies are supposed to follow into the medium by which bureaucrats tell the people what to do. Civil rights often become civic duties. それは難しい. It is difficult. So I'm sorry, I'll give you time to take the parental abduction. That could be your first question. So in the first paragraph, they're saying lawyers and activists, lawyers and people who work for NPOs and NGOs, they frame problems of parental child abduction and parental alienation. Do you know what parental alienation would be?
I don't know.
Oh, it's okay. So you know alien means like outside person, right? So like if it's a space alien, they're from, a different planet. If it's an alien foreigner, it means someone from a different country. But alienation means to feel separated, to feel like an alien. So I hope at ICLA you have many friends and you feel very comfortable and you feel very safe here all the time. Sometimes when someone goes to a place, they don't feel so good. And they feel they don't have friends for some reason. They cannot speak the language, or the culture is different, or their personality is different. And in that case, we say they have a feeling of alienation, right? Meaning separation. Parental alienation, I think, means when maybe one parent kidnaps the child and the child can never know their father or never know their mother. It could just be psychological, like you don't like your father and don't want to talk to him.
Yeah.
But it could also be, in this case, I think, due to abduction, like mother or father takes away the child. So a great discussion question could be, for example, uh, you know, parental alienation is a big problem. People are separated from their mother or father, maybe because it cannot be helped. Like if their parent lives very far away, or if they're kidnapped, of course it cannot be helped. Their separation. Um, but you could ask the question: how much is parental closeness important? How important is it to be close to your mother and father? How important is it for a small child to be close to their mother and father? And you could make it a personal question. You could say, for you, how important is it? Or for everyone, or for growing children, how important is it? But it's a great discussion and makes us think. Because if you think parental closeness is very important and parental alienation is very bad, then in that way, parental abduction is even a bigger crime, right? If you take away the child and the child can never know their mother or father, maybe it should be punished even harder because you're causing some psychological problem.
Yes.
And yeah, this next paragraph is so difficult. Even me as an American, maybe I need to read twice.
Oh.
Yeah. On the contrary, so many people think courts don't care about children's rights. That's a mistake. In paragraph 1, they tell us. On the contrary, this is telling us why is it a mistake. Do courts not care? No, in fact, they do care. On the contrary. On the contrary, when you start a paragraph with on the contrary, it means like gyaku no imi. Hayaku kuru. It will come now. I will explain why it's not a mistake, why it is a mistake, and that mistake is children's abduction and parental alienation is framed in terms of children's rights. Like it's not about mother and father's rights. It's not about society's rights. It's not about schools' rights. It should be about children's rights. And while it would be easy to conclude from what I wrote in last week's column that Japanese courts simply do not care about them. So the courts don't care about children. You could think so, but it's a mistake. On the contrary. So family courts and their specially trained investigative personnel are held out as experts on children, their welfare and rights. So they are seen to be experts. It's not that they don't care. It's in society, we think they know a lot. In my view, the problem, so it is easy to think they don't care. Why is it easy? Because children are not being protected enough. Children are not being kept in safe ways. In my view, the problem is that children's rights probably have the same character as many other personal rights in Japan. So it's not that they don't care about child's rights, it's same as your right as an adult male, as my right as a foreign adult male. So maybe in other countries it should be higher, like children's rights are above other rights. They're more important because they are weaker and we must protect them. But maybe in Japan, it's all, this is important and the other thing is important and still the other thing is also important. Yeah. It's so difficult, right? It's really difficult to understand. The writing of this is difficult because they're trying to be clear, but in some ways they're not so clear. Let's continue and see if we, rather than being rights that bind and can be asserted against the government, there are benefices. Benefices is a difficult word. It means benefits. Yeah. So if we say human rights, if you have human rights to be healthy and have no one hurt you, the idea is it's your right, yes. Right? Government does not give it to you. Yes. I do not. It is yours. But in Japan, it is from the government. Here you go. Here you go. So it's kind of a different image. Is it inside you or does it come from outside? So maybe Japanese government mentality is different from some people, I think. The rights that bind. Bind means tie you. Like I must not take away your human rights. Like if someone wants to take away Daichi's human rights, society should stop that person from doing it. It said in Japan that's not the idea. Uh, it is not rights that bind and can be asserted against the government. They are benefices bestowed on the people by well-meaning judges and other bureaucrats. So really, it's a very different image. Do your rights come from you as human being, or do they come from government? Maybe. What do you think?
To be honest, I,
Yeah.
I thought the rights came from other
Government.
place.
Yeah. So maybe many people in the world think so, but some human rights activists think that it's really a right that everyone should have, no matter where they come from or what their government is. So it sounds like your idea is similar to maybe Japanese government idea. So maybe many people in Japan, if someone criticizes the system, they say, what is wrong? It is the power comes from the government. They're giving it to us. That's fine. Some people have the opposite idea that you can fight more directly with the government, I think. By well-meaning judges and other bureaucrats. Rights on paper seem similar to those enjoyed in other countries, may undergo a subtle process whereby they are converted from rules government agencies are supposed to follow into the medium by which bureaucrats tell the people what to do. Civil rights often become civic duties. So instead of your protection, it becomes your duty. It becomes your job.
I didn't think.
Yeah. I need to think more about that. It's the first time I've read it. My wife, who works for an NPO, I will let her read this, and I will talk to her about it and see what she thinks. To look at the Justice Ministry's human rights cartoon mascots, Ayumi-ken and Mamori-ken, puns meaning advance rights and protect rights. Do you know these?
I don't know.
Oh, so they must be somewhere. Let me see. Ayumi-ken and Mamoru-ken. Ayumi-ken? Oh, that's someone's real name. Human rights. It should be like character, right?
Maybe.
Okay. So like this. I see.
I have ever seen.
Okay. You have seen. Okay. So where were we? We were on Word. I see. So to look at the Justice Ministry's human rights cartoon mascots, Ayumi-ken and Mamoru-ken, puns meaning advance rights and protect rights, and their posters exhorting the citizenry to think about the feelings of others, engender a considerate heart, and heighten each person's awareness of human rights, one would think that human rights in Japan are a matter of some failing in the psyche of the Japanese people, rather than, for example, failings in the same systems that allows Japanese police and prosecutors to detain and question suspects for long periods without access to counsel in order to coerce confessions. Oh, that's a difficult sentence. So, because they're cute characters and they're telling you, Daichi-san, please think about other people. Daichi-san, do this, do that, right? So, this writer's argument is, it's making it look like it's your fault. Why aren't you a better person? But in fact, government is doing bad things, right? If someone thinks you did a crime, they can take you and hold you for a long time and not give you food and say, you did it. In other countries, that's sometimes thought of as human rights violation. So I understand what she's saying. So it's your duty to treat everyone good, which is true, but it's kind of ignoring that the government might not treat people well also. Do you understand? Maybe the character. It's difficult, right?
Sorry.
Okay. No. Let me see. This system is under the supervision of the Ministry of Justice, a system that has been repeatedly criticized by the UN Commission on Human Rights, members of which have questioned whether the Japanese government even understands what some of the human rights agreements it has signed mean. Wow, it's really strong. It means like Japanese government signed to protect human rights, but UN human rights was 本当にわかりますか? Because the way they treat people they arrest are not like the rules they sign. So this article is very long. I think you need lunch, and I think I need lunch. And I know we have class soon. So I think this is enough, right? You don't, in your liberal arts class, you will have to read articles deeply. In this class, we will sometimes read the whole article deeply, but sometimes we will just read parts deeply. And I think maybe this is enough for this video. So I'm going to put this on YouTube, and people can listen to and discuss it. And I'll put a link to this article, and we can read it more and think about it. But you're very welcome. But I think there are very good questions you can ask. Some can be very simple questions. Do you think Ayumi-ken and Mamoru-ken help human rights in Japan? Why? Why? They're cute. They are telling people, please think about other people. These are good things. Of course, your teacher and your mother and your friend should say, please think about other people. Of course, that's no problem. But this writer said there's a problem because it's kind of shifting all of the responsibility to individuals instead of thinking about the big problems. Does Japan have human rights problems in general? So you could simply ask, do you like these characters? Why or why not? Why does the writer think there's a problem with these characters, which are so cute and so Japanese and maybe fun, but maybe there's a problem too. Yeah. So I will read the rest of this article later, but right now let's save this movie and I'll put it on YouTube and I'll introduce it to the class this week as something we can sometimes do. But these are great discussion questions. Yes. And it's okay. Could you read the whole article? Did you read all of it before?
Okay.
You did?
Yes.
Yeah. And maybe no.
However,
yeah,
it is so difficult.
Yeah. I don't think your case is unusual. I think maybe everyone in the class, if they found an article this difficult, maybe they struggled. It's hard. So that's fine. So you don't have to understand it all, but I will post this and I will talk to my wife about this and get more information. And then together we can try to understand.
Yes.
Okay. So let me just stop this video.